Are you getting mixed signals right now on all of your favorite real estate apps? If the answer is yes, I'm here to provide a little bit of context of what that might mean specifically around the Forsyth County Pockets in the Metro Atlanta area. You know, right now we've got a little bit over 4 months of inventory for the entire Metro Atlanta area. Remember, there's a lot of sprawl when it comes to Metro Atlanta. There are some pockets that are lightning fast, getting over asking, some multiple offer situations out there, and there's other pockets that are not seeing the same results. When we talk about Forsyth County in general, we're probably seeing a little bit more of a competitive market, maybe a little bit more geared towards sellers, but it's all price sensitive. So the further you get up in price, the more limited your buyer pool is going to be, and you can expect longer days on market, smaller things to possibly disrupt, maybe even kill a deal out there. And it's important to know kind of what context and where you're going to be landing on price so that you can have really good, clear expectations up front. While it is still a seller's market, in theory, again, just over that 4 months of inventory, it's going to feel more like a buyer's market. And this is what a lot of people aren't talking about right now. We're only a couple of years away from the craziness of 2021, 22, maybe a little bit into 23, when everything was just bonkers, an absolute circus. Anything that hit the market was gone in 24, 48 hours. And that's probably something that we're never going to see again. And because we're right next to it, and because most people aren't buying and selling real estate every single year, they don't have a lot of context to compare what their last experience might have been. And so a lot of the headlines, the public media, all the major news outlets are touting, different messages out there, and it's complex and confusing to kind of figure out where you fit in that picture. But because we're over that 4 month mark, and that's still technically underneath the 6 month, which most professionals agree is a balanced market, still technically a seller's market, while it being a feeling more like a buyer's market because it can be considerably slower than what it was just a few years ago. So if you're hunting around Forsyth County, or if you're considering maybe selling in Forsyth, maybe doing both, buying and selling at the same time, there's some considerations that might not be super obvious out there for a lot of consumers. One, right now there's a moratorium inside of Forsyth County that is basically putting a freeze on new developing lots. So the ones that are already underneath a building permit, the way we understand it right now, are still grandfathered in. But what this is really doing right now, in essence, is it's limiting supply coming into the market, which, if we know, more supply is better for buyers, worse for sellers, and the converse is true when we have limited supply, right? And so that's one consideration. Another thing that we're watching people wrestle with is most people that bought just over 4 years ago probably have a 3% and below interest rate. And if they're looking to move right around the corner, same county, the thought process is, well, I've got all this equity, but I've got a really good rate. The money on my house is cheap. My monthly payment is affordable. Maybe we've outgrown it a little bit. Maybe it's not everything that we want it to be. But then you've got to wrestle with looking at rates that might be in the 6s, maybe even in the 7s. Again, don't hold me close to those numbers because interest rates are dynamic, but there's got to be enough motivation, enough why behind somebody to, one, navigate buying and selling, or just one of them. It takes a great toll on a person or a family to make the move, even in the best case circumstances. There needs to be a larger motivation for people to make a move. Larger motivations could be around one of the 5 Ds, death, divorce, diapers, downsizing, diamonds, somebody getting engaged. These are all big life events that spur on people to have enough of a why or enough of a motivation for them to consider taking the next big step on their journey for home ownership. So some of you may have heard about the 400 corridor express lane that's being built. If you're new to Atlanta, then you might not know that traffic's always a big deal around here. And instead of having smart, savvy public transportation around everywhere, we're always 10 years in the rearview mirror when it comes to shuffling your body to and fro. And what we like to do over here in Metro Atlanta is just add another lane, and that's what they're doing on 400 right now. One of many. This isn't the first time, probably not gonna be the last time that we're dumping public funds into increasing the scope of one of our major arteries. If you're unfamiliar with 400, it's gonna be running north to south at 12 o'clock position just north of 285. And there is a ton of traffic north and south. Most southbound traffic is going to be rush hour in the mornings and then going back north, around that 4, 5, 6 o'clock, sometimes maybe even 3, depending on which day it is and what's going on and if school is actually moving the way that it should. Here's the consideration. We're past COVID. For the most part, things have normalized. We've got back to a sense of safety. There for a few years, a lot of people were talking about remote or hybrid forms of work. Not everybody was driving into the office. So people could afford not just money, but also time to go live further away. Now that society is kind of reeling that back in, a lot of employers are asking their loyal employees to be in office from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Commute is now going to be a big factor. We're kind of going back commute to and from work. Not everybody wants to spend an hour plus in the car each day. And so geography is going to be a big concern. And as this 400 corridor gets installed and hopefully alleviate traffic for the next 5, maybe 10 years, I think that's going to wind up opening up a lot of opportunities for sellers that might already be positioned or for buyers that are looking to go further up, stretch their dollar a little bit further, but also not be super constrained by their commute to work. All right, so we've talked about a lot of considerations here in the Forsyth County area. There, in my experience, there's buyers, there's sellers, and then people doing both at the same time. If you're doing both at the same time, the best piece of advice I would give you is you're likely gonna win on one side and you might suffer a little bit on the other side. That's not always the case. Us as agents, to be able to produce a long-term referral-based business, we've got to be able to provide value to our clients. And so we're always looking for an edge, an opening, an opportunity for our clients. Sometimes that doesn't always factor in the reality of the marketplace. You might be interested in a house that has a couple of other people really interested in the house, and that might call for a bidding war. If you're just a seller in today's market, this is gonna sound cheesy and you're gonna think I'm just putting a sales pitch out there. It really does pay to have a local, knowledgeable expert that's got a decent bit of sales in your local area. They're gonna be able to dive deeper, look at not just inventory levels, but inventory levels closer into your zip code, your school district, know what's driving value one way or the other. They're gonna be able to show you recent comps, how the condition of each one of those stacks, dig up information that might be valuable from each individual sale by contacting previous agents and figuring out what really happened and why it might have sold quick or slow, or what kind of traction each active listing, which could be your competition, is experiencing, so that you can be positioned well and be informed. If you're a buyer in today's market and you're shopping around the Forsyth County area, I would say, again, same thing is important. You should be consulting with a local agent that's gonna be able to clearly connect and explain to you your buying power, what that means, what opportunities are out there, what leverage you might have on each individual house that you might be interested in, maybe even outsourcing or finding opportunities that are off market to find the right house at the right price. There are deals to be had out there. It's just not as prevalent, I think, as the general public is believing it to be. So it's a really case-by-case basis. Lower down on the price range. Again, we've got a median sales price for probably in the mid-6s for Forsyth County. So if you're below that, you can expect it to be more competitive, where you're not get as good of a quote-unquote deal on the price. Higher up you are on purchase price, we're watching bigger swings on negotiations. And that's just one factor to consider as you're getting into the market. All right, well, hey, if you've made it this far, we highly appreciate it. We try to keep these short, light, educational. If you find yourself in the market and you're just taking those first steps, maybe you're nervous or resistant from reaching out and talking to me or one of our great agents over here on our team, totally get it. But my advice here is the sooner you engage with a trusted professional, the better your experience is probably gonna be. So if you haven't already, smash the subscribe button, drop a comment below. We do actually read them. We will engage with you. It's gonna be a lot of fun. You just don't know it yet because you haven't done it, and we're waiting for you to go do it. See you on the next video.